Welcome to the Broncos podcast with Troy Rank. I am your host, Troy Rank, columnist for the Denver Post. It is a wonderful Monday morning here in the metro area. Another Broncos win. Preseason, as we say, doesn't count, but it matters. And the Broncos have been impressive in both their preseason games and showcasing just an absolute excessive amount of depth that this team, frankly, did not have over the course of about 7 years when they were getting put through the wood chipper by the rest of the AFC West and other opponents. It's a team that's going to have a few hard decisions at the end of the preseason because of the way some guys have really stepped forward. So it is an interesting conversation to have and look back now at what happened on Saturday night. You know, I know some fans were disappointed. No Bo Nix, no first-string offense other than one player, basically two. We'll get into that. Something happened in the game regarding the play calling that we had not seen before that made this game a little more interesting. And the first-round pick, Jade Baron, making the bid to start. Is he going to have enough time to unseat Jaquan McMillan for that nickelback spot as the opener September 7th hosting the Titans gets closer and closer? But Broncos country, reasons to be excited for what we saw, not to deal with first-string offense or first-string defense, but there were some things in this game that make you think, again, this team has a chance to contend. We saw Bo Nix play really well on Thursday. That was extremely important. I told you why in the last podcast. Thank you all who downloaded that on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your pods, or certainly watching on YouTube. But what we've seen these first two games is also important if you're going to be a contender. Because you guys know this, Broncos country, no playoff team, no team that makes a deep run does it without overcoming a few injuries or ineffectiveness where somebody else has to step up and replace someone. And that is what has emerged in this training camp, that the Broncos, for the first time in a long time, have some real options behind their starters. So I want to get into all that after the break. What we saw Saturday night, what it could mean moving forward. In specific, we get some sound from Evan Engram, Jarrett Stidham, and first-round rookie Jade Baron. That's all coming up after the break. Have you been injured in a car wreck or hurt at work? What are you waiting for? Give my friend Darby Hoggatt a call. He runs Hoggatt Injury Law. Their motto with us is personal. I've known Darby forever. We've attended baseball games together. I coached his son in Sports Jet. Great kid. We talked a lot of Broncos. Darby's a huge Broncos fan. He is a huge Wyoming fan. And I just love talking sports with Darby. And I got to become a good friend of his. You and many of his clients become his good friend. You don't even have to pay Darby up front. Case goes as planned, Darby will be the one writing checks to you. So again, if you've been injured at work or hurt in a car accident, give Darby's team a call. That's 1-833-HOGGATT. You see the number on the screen, YouTubers, 1-833-464-4288, or visit the website at hoggattlaw.com. Life doesn't always work the way we thought. When you face curveballs from family challenges, divorce, legal separation, child support, alimony, custody, you need a lawyer who understands the human dynamics, the courtroom, and is willing to fight for your rights. You need Ted Shih. A graduate of Cal Berkeley Law, Ted brings 40 years of courtroom experience and 20 years of family law experience to your corner. Ted has been a social worker, a police detective, but first and foremost, a trial lawyer. He has tried cases across the country and our state. He has taught young lawyers across the country the ins and outs of the courtroom for the National Institute of Trial Advocacy. Martindale Hubbell ranks Ted among the top lawyers in the country. You want an expert to navigate your family challenge? Call Ted. Ted's passion is putting you first. He will work to settle your case, but he's not afraid to go toe-to-toe in a trial to protect your interests. Ted can be reached at TheoShih@AOL.com. That's Theo Shih at AOL.com. Or you can call him, 303-475-2981. That number again, 303-475-2981. Ted promises to respond to your concerns within 24 hours, 365 days a year. Ted's a big Broncos fan, listens to the podcast, so thank you, Ted. Thank you for your sponsorship. If you're interested in sponsoring, email me at troyerink@gmail.com. Happy to talk with you about possible sponsorship opportunities. And the reason I asked, hey, the season's going to be a big deal. And if for some reason it doesn't turn out to be a big deal, that would be a big deal because they have legitimate Super Bowl expectations. And I'm not saying they're a Super Bowl team, but I certainly feel like this team has the possibility of winning the AFC West and winning a playoff game, absent of winning the AFC West, that this team could win 11 games, be a wild card, and go on the road and beat, let's say, a Houston. I think that is a realistic expectation, and nothing has changed based on what I've watched so far in training camp, and that this team's really deep, folks. They're really deep. But let's get to depth second. We finally saw something on Saturday night that makes you think, yep, this offense is going to be different. It's going to be better. It's going to be caffeinated, if you will. What is it we saw? Well, remember the offseason when we identified two major issues, glaring needs, if you will, for this team? Running back, tight end. They go out and draft R.J. Harvey, and they sign J.K. Dobbins. And we'll get into Harvey here in a second. But they needed some help at tight end. Other than the Colts, probably no team has been worse at tight end production over the last couple of years, and certainly last season. They need someone to take control of the middle of the field to be that plaid on stripes mismatch on a linebacker, on a safety. Adam Troutman is a functional player. He's a reserve player. In baseball parlance, he would be like a fourth, fifth outfielder. I love him in that role. I don't want him starting. If he's my reserve, I feel really comfortable with where I am offensively. If I'm asking him to, catch 40 passes at this point in his career, that's not ideal. But in a niche role, perfect. And so they go out and they sign who was clearly the top pass-catching tight end 2 years ago. But over the course of 2 years, just the number of receptions, he's right in that conversation. And that's Evan Engram. Get him as a free agent. They steal him away from the Chargers. He had a visit there, and he was pulled in by the description and the vision, Sean Payton and Davis Webb and Pete Carmichael and Joe Lombardi, this offensive staff, mainly Payton, obviously, the vision they had for him. And he was attracted to the idea. They got a quarterback long-term in Bo Nix. Not that the Chargers didn't, and Herbert, but it felt like the vision fit, like where they were going, like the fit in Denver. And now in a game we saw it. We've seen it a few times in practice. And now training camp's over. That ended with with the scrimmage against the Cardinals last Thursday. Now it's just reporters out there. It's very similar to OTAs. Well, we'll still be able to report some stuff. It's not as much in real time. We got to wait till practice is over. But no more fans out there. It's another indication they're getting a lot closer to the season. But we finally saw in a game what they want from Engram. And so Engram plays. Sean Payton had made the surprising announcement last Thursday that he wasn't going to play as starters, that he and Jonathan Gannon, the coach of the Cardinals, had agreed, hey, we got so much great work in on Thursday. We're going to do this again sometime probably next year, but we're not going to play starters. I think Gannon's going to look back and say, sure I wanted my nose rubbed in it that first quarter. But the one starter who did play, Evan Engram, and again, I think a guy who's going to start, I fully believe he will start, is R.J. Harvey. And he's changed my opinion on that. I did not believe that, as you know from this podcast a couple months ago, or even when training camp started, but I certainly see him as the starter now. Engram starts, and I was able to talk to Engram afterward. I'm going to throw to that bite here in a second. But he didn't get a target against the Niners. And they did not want to enter the season without him getting a little bit of rhythm, a little bit of traction. Now, the starters, the plan is to play probably one series against New Orleans this Saturday. Day game, 11 a.m. start here in Colorado locally. That would be, 1 there, Eastern time in New Orleans. But they wanted to get Engram some action, get a target or two. Well, that first drive, a pass, and boom, 58 yards. He sheds a tackle. Troy Franklin makes an unbelievable hustle play to get away on a block. Nearly goes the distance. But Engram showed speed that, again, they haven't had that type of mismatch from a tight end, frankly, since probably Julius Thomas. back in the salad days of Peyton Manning. But Engram gives you this ability both on the outside and the middle of the field to force teams to make tough decisions, because he's basically, folks, and you'll see this if you're ever down low at a game, close to field level, he's smaller than Cortland Sutton. I mean, he is a true flex tight end. He reminds me a lot of Pat Surtain, frankly, from a physical standpoint and a body type. And he can absolutely burn. I mean, again, when you're talking about putting him against linebackers and safeties, and we saw it. There's one moment, one pass, boom, 58 yards. And so I had a chance after the game to talk to Engram, ask him about why it was important for him to play in this game. Again, no other starters except he, and again, I include Harvey in that. But he made it very clear that he and Peyton had talked. Peyton wanted him to play. Engram wanted to play. And that's different from a few years ago when Randy Gregory and Frank Clark, veterans, were very disappointed. They had to play, and not surprisingly, those guys were both cut very quickly into the season as not buying in. Engram was hand up, sure, I need this too. I agree, coach. So let's listen to what Evan Engram had to say about his first time playing as a Bronco at Empower Field and the importance of getting some game action, even when the other starters weren't out there.
The stadium with the fans, and had a great day as an offense. Some things we got cleaned up, but it's definitely fun to get out there and get moving around a little bit.
Evan, 58 yards, you outran a couple guys, threw a couple guys out there. Can you take us through what that was like?
Yeah, just a well-executed play. Troy had an amazing block for me to continue to run. That play doesn't happen without that block. Just great execution all around, led to it for sure. Wish I kept going, scored. That would have made it a little bit better, but it was a big play for our offense.
Did you want to get game action, Evan? Did you want some game action because you were one of the few starters out there? Was that?
Yeah,
you want
definitely.
To get out there?
I mean, Sean definitely wanted me to get some work. I wanted to get some work. It was I didn't get any targets last week, so Sean was big on trying to get in the groove, and I agreed with it. And I'd never passed up an opportunity to go play with all my brothers and guys that's been working their butts off. It was fun.
How much do you feel like that? How much do you feel like that's a strength of yours, is getting the ball in space and be able to run with it?
Yeah, I mean, it's something I work on a lot. I'm just trying to be as dynamic as possible. Definitely just trying to bring as much as I can to the team.
Evan, you weren't here last year, but Troy just had a great camp. Like you mentioned the block, the way he went and got the ball tonight. Have you seen a development from him just in the last few months, even since you've been here?
Yeah, I mean, just his confidence. I feel his confidence every day. He's been working his butt off. He actually came to Atlanta and trained with my trainer for a couple weeks. And just, you can tell he really cares about his game. He really cares about chasing improvement, and the confidence is a big part too. And it's really evident. He's going to have a big year.
Well, folks, welcome back to the Broncos Pod. Troy Renck here, columnist for the Denver Post. You can find all my stuff, Troy Renck, on Twitter, TroyRenck, Facebook, the same, both my personal and work account. I'm on Blue Sky. I'm on Instagram. I'm not on TikTok. I'm not sure that will be my jam ever at my age, but you can find me there, or denverpost.com/sports. You can see the header for columnist. That's where my stuff is at, where you can find it. We've got stuff from Sean Keeler this week, my fellow columnist, and of course, Parker Gabriel and Luke Evans, who absolutely crush it with their Broncos coverage. So grateful to be part of that team. You heard from Engram again. Two things jump out here. One, he's a mismatch. I covered Shannon Sharp, folks. He's not that. I'm not saying that. But when you have a mismatch at that position, it's so valuable on third down. So valuable in money situations where you have to get a 3rd and 6. And Cortland Sutton on the long drag route, those long crossers, they take it away. Well, can they take away both, he and Engram? Like, that's where this becomes important. And Troy Franklin, I mean, folks, no player has improved more year over year. And I've said this, I tweeted it. He is benefiting from not being around Johnny Morton. He did not respond to Morton's coaching style of just basically getting screamed at every day in training camp. And some guys, old school guys, like that, but others, they don't respond to it. It doesn't make them better. And I just felt like it set Franklin back. But if you look where he's at year over year, like August 16th, 17th, whatever it is from that point last year, he was a complete non-factor last year. Completely lacked confidence, made a million rookie mistakes. His head's going a million miles per hour with the playbook. But Troy Franklin, again, is making a bid on certain weeks to be a number 2 type receiver. But back to Engram, the tight end on third down. That tight end on first down to get you so it's 2nd and 4, 2nd and 3. You can't overstate what he can do if they're able to use him right. And, it looks like if he's healthy, based on how Peyton has used Jimmy Graham or Jeremy Shockey, when he has guys at these positions, he will trust them. It's similar to the running game. I wrote about this on Sunday. If he has guys he trusts, he will use it. Sean Payton, there's the perception all he does is pass, and he really doesn't. He passes a little more on first down than most teams. He certainly passes a little more than other teams, but it's not like when you look at neutral situations and graphics, he doesn't pass a lot more than what normal teams would do in those situations. So if he has a running back he trusts or two, he will run a little more. In his best teams, they ran in the red zone. When he has a tight end he trusts, I think you're going to see this develop. And it's going to be huge for Knicks to have this type of weapon, that little dump down, a little square out route where the tight end boxes this guy out. Again, to get a little 6-7 yarder. You see teams like Baltimore use this, Kansas City use this. Obviously, we just saw it with Trey McBride, Fort Morgan, a star prep legend, and CSU's own, who had a great scrimmage against the Broncos on Thursday. But that ability for the tight end, create space, create, again, that short gain on first down, and third down, the money down. And Engram showed that. And he showed he's a culture guy. Every press conference he's done, I think he's done 3 now over the past 3 weeks. It's, I love this team. I love how hard they work. I can't even be the first guy in the building anymore because 5-6 other guys are beating me. It feels like he really fits the fabric of what they're trying to do and how this has been laid out, that it's tough. Sean Payton training camp is not a blast for players, but they've bought into the, hey, we got to get a callus. We've got to get this to a point where if practice is hard, the games will become easy. The harder we practice, the easier it should be on Sunday. And Engram bought into that by playing on Saturday, by saying, you know what, Coach, you're right. I want to get a little bit of action. And when I talked to him on it on the record there, even privately, you could see a guy he understands what they're trying to do here, buying in. And as that develops, that's where you start to say, okay, this offense could be better, because we saw it from Engram. One of the reasons that I have been bullish on Knicks goes beyond even Sean Payton, and that's Davis Webb, the quarterback's coach and now the passing game coordinator. I'd mentioned Johnny Morton earlier. Morton has left. He was the passing game coordinator. He left to Detroit to be their offensive coordinator. And again, watching Ben Johnson and his Lions against the Bills on Sunday, I do not see any way the Lions sustained their offensive production without him. And it's not a criticism of Morton. I have nothing against Morton. These are observations that Morton did not click early in training camp and early in the season with both Marvin Mims Jr. and Troy Franklin. His coaching style of yelling and screaming and just wearing guys out about every detail, I get the importance of when every little thing matters, big things happen. I understand that. The modern athlete, my experience having coached kids for 15 years, kids who can go to internet and learn everything, they want to know the why way more than their predecessors. It used to be, you do this because I told you this is we're going to do it. Now kids, especially high-level athletes, they ask a question like, why are we doing this? And you can't let them be disrespectful about it, where they're like, hey, we're not doing it, and where their answer is, I'm not doing it because. No, we can have a conversation. Hey, we're doing this, and here's why, because if we do this, it's a building block to get you to this next route tree, and it all sets up for something bigger, and all these pieces of the puzzle are going to come together. But when you just yell, I think it's lazy coaching. And I've experienced this with my own kids where they've had coaches that yell and scream. And typically, in my experience of coaches who yell a lot, there's an insecurity there, and it's just a lack of ability or confidence to teach. And so the fallback is, and default is, to yell. Again, 1980, That would have worked. Probably even 1990 to 90, what about 8? It doesn't really work anymore with the way kids are, the culture shift. You can shake your head of all that, but that's the reality of it. And the best coaches are able, for me, to create accountability, responsibility, but they're still able to connect with the athletes. You're not becoming their best friend. That's not it. But you're also able, the coaching sandwich. I can criticize you, then I praise you, then I criticize you. Like there's a way that, hey, you got to do this better, but I do like what you did here. You learned this element of it. Now we need to add this other part, and I need you in your playbook. I can tell when you're not, like those are things, but just screaming at guys in open practices where, Mims and Franklin, and Mims particularly, throwing his helmet, so frustrated with you. It felt counterproductive. Well, what is your point, Troy? My point is Davis Webb is now the passing game coordinator. Davis Webb at 30 years old is a rising star in the coaching industry. The way he sees the game as a former quarterback. He was in the league 2 years ago as a backup. He played in a game a couple years ago. I mean, he's like the age of Stidham. He's a guy who could still be an NFL backup. And the Davis Webb story is so interesting to how he decides he wants to get into coaching. He interviews with the Broncos, and he's in a limo or an Uber back to the airport, and they're like, why didn't we hire him on the spot? And they end up calling him back and hiring him because they realized, and it's been borne out here over the last few years, he's just a unique guy. And as the passing game coordinator now, I think it was important they promoted him and gave him that title because I don't think it's going to be long before this. I would be surprised if the Broncos do what I expect them to do. I'll be shocked if he doesn't get hired as someone's offensive coordinator in the offseason. He's on that kind of fast track, and he would have to take it to call plays, and that's where this is all going. Sean Payton allowed Webb to call plays in this game. And they worked together, but Peyton remembered his first time calling plays as an assistant. No, he wasn't an assistant. I think it was actually just with the Giants. But he was like, hey, comparing when I called my first plays, let's see if you can beat it. And he did. Webb was just dialing it up with Stidham. He was in complete rhythm with Stidham. And Webb, as a quarterback growing up, I know there's a local connection because there was a time we thought he was coming to CU. And he didn't. He had told me, he just didn't trust their offensive line when he was transferring from where Texas Tech and ended up at Cal. But he's been keeping like notebooks since he was in high school. Very Peyton Manning-esque in that way. In all these notebooks of what he's seen, defensive schemes. And he's such a student of the game. So even as a player, he was preparing to coach. And you see that happening very quickly with him. And he's calling the game. And I do know this from, again, it's youth baseball, it's youth sports. When you're actually doing it in the game, it happens way faster than you would think it would. You got 35 seconds on the play clock, but that's happening quickly. And so to allow Webb to do this in real time in an NFL game, I think was very important. And I love the fact that, Peyton is recognizing that Webb's ready for it. Now, Joe Lombardi called plays against San Francisco, and that's cool, but Lombardi's been an offensive coordinator in the league. Like, whether it was, I think he was most recently with the Chargers, but he's done the job in seasons. Pete Carmichael, same thing with New Orleans. Webb had never done it. He did some of that stuff. I don't know if it was a Senior Bowl or Shrine Bowl where he coached, where you would have that experience, but that's in a college exhibition. This is an NFL game, preseason nonetheless, but it's still an NFL game. And Webb, they just absolutely just riddled the Cardinals' second stringers. Stidham has put on a show, but it's important in an off season where Sean Payton lost a bunch of staffers that you continue to reward guys for doing the right things. Whether it's Webb, whether it's offensive line coach Zach Strief, continue to give them added responsibility. It's a show of confidence, frankly. Instead of feeling insecure and threatened by them, because clearly Webb's a rising star, you're nurturing that. And by nurturing that, you get the best out of that coach instead of trying to put your thumb on him. I don't want to give you anymore. I don't want to show anyone what you could do because I'm going to lose you. Well, again, you got to let coaches find their water level, just like with players. And for Peyton to do this, I'm not saying it's like altruistic, but it's not as common as you think because coaches get so threatened, even by those on their own staff. Well, he's been doing this for so long, 18 years as a head coach, won a Super Bowl, 9 division titles. He's not threatened by it. And he frankly was Davis Webb long ago when he was getting his chance with the Giants that ultimately led to his job, whether it go Giants, Cowboys, or vice versa. I'm getting, and then ultimately becoming the head coach of the Saints. So I think it went, Giants, Cowboys, Saints. But to allow him to have this opportunity and get that tape out there and that resume, it was a big deal. Jarrett Stidham, he's 30 for 38, 300-plus yards these last 2 games. He is having a legacy preseason, so relaxed, just absolutely on point. But he is close to Davis Webb, that quarterback room of Sam Ehlinger, Jarrett Stidham, and, of course, Bo Nix. The way they work with Webb, who's not much older than any of them, has really fostered and accelerated the development of the room and certainly of Bo Nix. But listen to what Stidham said about the importance of Webb getting that opportunity to call plays in a preseason game.
Because, if you're a coach and you want to be a play caller in this league, I mean, when you get your first opportunity, it's a big deal. So, honestly, we were super proud of him, super happy for him. He's an incredible coach, and he's going to be an incredible coach for a very long time in this league. And I've been fortunate to be around, some of the greats. And Davis, he's amazing, and I can't speak highly enough about him. And, I wasn't really sure how it was going to go because we only did, I guess, practice yesterday with him calling it in the headset and stuff. But just seeing how he flowed within the game, and it was really fun. And, like I said, he's got a bright future for sure.
That was Jarrett Stidham. It ain't pretty, it's Stiddy. He has had a summer, folks. And it's good, because you need to know you can trust your backup. If he had played like this, I think it would have made it a more difficult decision to go with Bo Nix to start the season. It was always going to be Bo Nix, but would it have made sense to start Stidham in Seattle and against Pittsburgh at home? If Stidham had played like this last year, I think you could have argued it was worth that. He's just playing with nothing to lose, just house money, so relaxed, obviously more comfortable in the system. But again, the point of that soundbite was Davis Webb, you can feel, like you said, he's proud of him. These guys have a relationship with the Webb that's a little different because of his age. He's so close to them in age. But he has the coaching acumen because he was basically a coach as a player. And for Peyton to give him that opportunity, I think it is meaningful. And again, it shows he's not threatened. He's rewarding coaches. And when you reward them and let them find their water level and their potential, I think you get the best out of your coaches, the best out of your staff, because they feel like, yeah, you might be a hard ass, you're wearing me out, but you have my best interest at heart. And when you do that, I've felt that when I've coached kids, they take ownership in a way that's very powerful. If they will care when they know you care, and I think it's similar with a coaching staff. It's a little different dynamic, grown men compared to 20 to 23-year-olds. But I believe that when these coaches know you care like that, you will get the best of them, and we're seeing that with Webb. And it helps to have talent, and that's where we'll finish today's pod. The Broncos team's optimism was hard to come by for years because they weren't very good. I don't know how else to say that to you. They weren't very good. We used to play this game, when you look out on the field and 22 starters, how many Broncos would start on the other team? And a lot of days that number was 3 or 4. Justin Simmons would jump out, or Cortland Sutton, depending on the matchup. Emmanuel Sanders back in the day. There just were not a lot. Obviously, Von Miller, when he was here in those subsequent years after Super Bowl 50. Now you've got multiple Pro Bowlers, multiple All-Pros, both, Quinn Miners on offense, and I think obviously Evan Engram, if he does what I expect, he's got a chance to be a Pro Bowler at tight end. And R.J. Harvey, not Pro Bowler, but he's a guy where you could see him getting to 1,000 yards. I predict that. If you want to go read my column, I'd appreciate it, from Sunday, that Sean Payton's talked about the running game being better. Well, you got to prove it, Coach. Just look down at your Jordan Brand shoes, your Nikes, and just do it. And I think that's where you're going to see this offense with an improved running game and a tight end have a chance to take off and win games against good teams. Because let's be honest, that's the issue. They beat one playoff team last year. The Chiefs they did, but again, that was against their backups. But Tampa Bay was kind of like that big signature win on the road. Lost 6, they're 1-6 in one-score games, most of those against playoff teams. If you're going to win a division, if you're going to be able to win a playoff game on the road, you have to beat good teams. And at some point, you got to beat a few of those teams on the road. To do that, you got to run the football. You got to impose your will. You got to control the middle of the field. And the Broncos made that such a priority this offseason with Dobbins, with Engram, with Talanoa Hufanga, with Dre Greenlaw. Hopefully Greenlaw's back to practice this week because he will make a difference if he's healthy. But part of the middle of the field and part of at least the variety and the optionality of this defense and a reason that they have a chance to be special now that they have 2 first-rounders on defense is the addition of Jahdae Baron, cornerback from Texas, top cornerback in college last year. According to, Scout, someone who, or at least it does the pre-draft eval, can't remember a cornerback that didn't miss a tackle on tape. I didn't watch all this. Scout I talked to didn't watch all of the film on his career at college, but certainly in his film leading up to the draft, didn't see a missed tackle. Barron is the other first-rounder on this defense along with Pat Surtain. Barron is trying to do something that we haven't seen since, Pat Surtain. He's not Pat Surtain. That's not fair. Pat Surtain is going to be a Hall of Famer. And the moment he stepped on the field that first summer, you're like, damn, this guy's more polished than Pledge. I mean, he is a technician. Barron has similar football IQ. And like Surtain, they're trusting him to continue to give him more and more responsibility, learning both inside and outside. And for the first time, we saw him do that in a game against the Cardinals. And I do believe we're going to see him at times, whether maybe even the dime, line up at safety and move around. To have such versatility, he could, in a course of a game, line up nickel, he could line up outside, and he could end up lining up at safety, maybe even on a blitz. But Barron, when I've talked to Vance Joseph, you guys heard my interview with Vance about this defense, the buy-in, the unselfishness. It's about assignment and alignment. Getting and exposing Barron to all this is what Vance Joseph's trying to do. So he makes mistakes in practice. So he learns to trust his eyes. Okay, where am I as a nickel in this? What does that mean? And he's putting him in these positions. And in some way, you could say setting up to fail, but it's putting him in these positions to learn it in practice so they can fix it and go right to the film and say, see, where you were here, this is assignment alignment. Your assignment was this, you were aligned here. What does that mean? And the quicker he processes, then the old, you can't think you'll stink. That's why they've exposed it to him. And Barron, you'll hear in this interview, he admits it's hard. And it is when you're like, gosh, dang, can't I just focus on one thing? Do you really have to try to teach 2? Well, with him, because of his mental capacity, they feel he can handle it. Most players can't. Historically, the last 10 years when Broncos have played guys, whether it was, you look at Baron Browning, you look at even Drew Sanders, guys who've tried to play multiple positions, it typically doesn't work. They end up kind of average at both. They believe Barron can be effective. And so my question is this: does he have enough time to bid and make a run and win that starting nickelback spot over Jaquan McMillan? McMillan's a good player. He got a lot of Chris Harris to his game, the way he competes, never backs down, never flinches, wants the smoke. He's had a strange training camp where he's made some huge plays, but he's also given up big plays. He did it again in the preseason game against San Francisco. He did it in the scrimmage on Thursday, give up a big play, then make a big play. Well, when your priority of your defense is to eliminate gash plays, that's problematic. It's like a pitcher, like you give up a home run, but you strike the next guy out. At some point, you can't keep giving up the home run because you just don't have the margin for error. McMillan's a very good player. They did not draft Jahdae Baron to not play. So at some point, he's going to give significant snaps. Is that early? Barron talked about playing in front of the home crowd, the idea of do your job, and I asked him that specifically. Yeah, well, I tell everyone to do your job, but you're doing 2 jobs. Here's Barron, who you can tell from his maturity why they think this guy can handle it. Here's Barron talking about playing in Denver and, adjusting to the responsibility of playing both inside and outside in that secondary.
Just to do your job, honestly. We have a thing it's called 111, but that's for special teams. But that means like for offense and defense, just everybody doing their job. We all have one goal, and obviously the goal at the end of the day is always to win. But if you're doing your job and somebody else doing your job, it's going to be good results. So everybody just doing your job. So I just learned just to do my job. I've been just working on doing my job, learning the defense, and just taking it step by step.
Is that kind of hard sometimes to kind of focus on the one thing and not kind of think about what everyone else is doing?
Yeah, it is sometimes. It is. It's human nature to kind of always to worry about what's going on over here, what's going on over there. But at the end of the day, it's all mental focus. It's just to try to stay mentally prepared as much as you can. But this whole unit, offense, special teams, defense, we all do a good job of just kind of doing our job. We kind of work and just keep working to do that and try not to make the same mistake that we made last weekend or whether we did in practice. So, again, this is what preseason's all about. This is what training camp's all about. So I'm just kind of enjoying it.
You have multiple jobs, though. You've been inside and outside, which we haven't really seen a rookie do that since Pat Surtain did it. How is that going, handling that responsibility of learning two positions?
It's good. I've been pushed. I've been pushing, and I love these guys. The coaches and staff, they're pushing me. The players, they're pushing me just to be better. The offense is pushing me. The defensive players are pushing me. So it's just all a big family that's just pushing me, and they want the best out of me, and I also want the best for myself. So it's good just to learn and adapt, adapt into the situation I'm in, and adapt to the new environment that I'm in. So it's been amazing. A lot of tough days, but I tell myself be committed to the process of what I'm doing without being attached to the results. So can I stay committed to what I'll do long after the mood has changed? And there's some days where I'm upset, because as a human, you want more. You want to do better. You just want to do better. You want to do better. But at the end of the day, it's all on God's time. And it's all going to click. And when it clicks, it's going to be amazing. And He's just going to keep pushing me to do a lot of amazing things. So I'm just ready for it.
What's the main focus for you between now and September 7th when the Titans come here?
Just keep learning, just getting put in different situations. Coach Joseph, he tells me he wants to put me in these different type of situations to see this, so I can just see all these different personalities of offenses, the motions, and things like that. So right now I'm just taking it all in. I'm putting myself there, and then by the time when the games come, it'll be time to make the plays. So it'll be all fun.
That gives you a little peek into his personality. Very bright guy. You can see why they're so bullish on him. I would be a little surprised if he and Harvey don't play significant snaps on September 7th. I think Harvey's going to start. I don't know if Barron has time to start, but I believe I'll say right now, it would not be a surprise to me if he's in there the third series, fourth series, just because the amount of trust they will gain between now and September 7th. And would I be shocked if he starts the opener? I would not, but I certainly would expect it within the first month of the season. He is on the toll lane, moving fast toward the starting lineup. Folks, I hope you enjoyed it. The Broncos have one more preseason game left against the Saints. That's where they need to kind of figure out. They're going to play the starters. Need to get some momentum there, obviously. Stay healthy. That's number one. You lost Nick Argulo, backup lineman. It looked like he might have broken his ankle or some good dude, Nick. He's out. He signed the former fullback Adam Prentice from CSU as they've got Burton's dealing with a hamstring issue. So we'll keep an eye on Prentice. Is he a safety net if Burton's not ready or a practice squad option? But you got to stay healthy. Get a little momentum on both sides of the ball. Certainly offensively, it wouldn't hurt to get a little more momentum and get your head right to get off to a fast start. Because the one thing that sabotaged the last two seasons, they were 1-5 in Peyton's first season here. They were 0-2 last year. That's 1-7 their first 8 games of a season, their first 2 years. You can't have it. Not if you're going to win a division title. Not if you're going to do something special. You can't be climbing uphill. That's why, I know it's preseason. Makes you wring your hands. What the heck? But this is the plan they've had all along in terms of the number of snaps, not necessarily playing the starters in the third game. So we'll see how this plays out. But if you're a part of Broncos country, you got to be feeling good about the depth. And that's what I want you to walk away from is this team's depth is real, and it's going to give them a chance to be contenders if they stay healthy based on the roster I'm seeing right now. Folks, I could not do this pod without the support of Darby Hoggatt, A1 Day 1 from Hoggatt Law, Ted Shih and his family practice, the new sponsor. He is fantastic. And, of course, Danny Bailey, Nate Lundy of Mile High Sports, Danny doing the great work behind the screen. Broncos country, I do this pod for you. Happiness that begins with me. Go out there and have a great day.